name's Chris Allen, and this is the Chris Allen MMA show. I'm speaking now to someone I have spoken to quite a lot in the past. I even managed to pinch his belt off him at Cage Warriors when he won the title, which it was very nice to give up for a split second. It's the UFC, one of the UFC's latest additions. It's Mr. Modestas Bukauskas. Hello, my friend.
Modestas Bukauskas. Let's just make sure.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, Modestas Bukauskas. Don't worry, mate. There's so many people find it hard to pronounce. It's all good, though, mate. How you doing? Really good to talk to you again, mate.
No, good, mate. Like, it's good to see, you're buzzing. You've been out. I can see on your Facebook and Instagram, you've been training. You've even stuck a bit of blonde. You've even stuck some champion blonde roots in as well.
That's it, yeah. Ever since I won the title, I thought, I've got some gold around my waist. Now we've got to add some gold on my head as well. We've got to get that real champion feel going in. Yeah, man.
You see, he's already wearing the bling and everything already, but
that's it, mate. We've got to have everything matching. Do you know what I mean? You can't see I've got the earrings. This is all just for you, though, mate. Do you know what I mean? I'm not even able to go out or anything. It's not like I can show off anywhere. But I thought, do you know what? If I'm doing an interview, we're going to be going on it's going to be going around to quite a lot of people. Got to look fresh, got to look flash, got to make it look like I'm on that big UFC money. Even though not yet, we'll get there.
And it's just lovely. I love hearing you say that, mate, because I know a lot of people think, "Who's this guy?" And I said, "This isn't what he isn't this arrogant usually. Don't worry."
Bloody hell.
No, man, but hey, you've got everything to be positive about, mate. Bloody, you started your journey 5 years ago? Just over, I think your first amateur fight, and then look where we are now. Did you expect to be? Yeah. I know you've always expected high expectations of yourself, but 5 years ago, did you see yourself debuting for the UFC?
Well, it's been a very rocky road. I mean, actually, the UFC done a little story on me, highlighting like all the sort of struggles that I've been through. But I mean, I think inevitably over the course of my life, I was going to end up doing something, sort of martial arts orientated. I think when I first started when I was 5, obviously, and when you're training and winning kickboxing titles and stuff like that, you're not necessarily at that point. I wasn't necessarily thinking, UFC, because I don't think even UFC was that big at that time. Yeah. But yeah, as soon as I came back from high school in America, 18 years old, like I tried all the other sports. I got to like decent levels and stuff like that, but never like sort of the height or the pinnacle. Get into that, like that NFL or anything like, or NBA, which obviously is like an extremely hard task to do. So, I thought, well, what's the thing that I'm sort of the best at that I was doing well at before, which was MMA. So, and then as soon as I came back, when I started the journey, I think I always had it in my mind. I wanted to, be known as one of the top fighters in the world. I want to be known as one of the best athletes doing this particular sport. I think that's I'm hoping that's every fighter's goal. I mean, it probably is. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're doing it, why just be the sort of the mid-tier guy? You want to be the top of the top, the best of the best, the cream of the crop. That's why we're training at it every single day. And I think because every fighter's got that sort of competitive drive and that competitive mind, they're always, striving to be at the top. And it was always in my sights ever since I heard about the UFC and and stuff like that. That was always obviously the main goal. At the beginning, obviously, you're just thinking, okay, I just want to keep improving. I want to get better, in the amateur ranks. And then as soon as I turn pro, the whole time, the end goal is obviously always still there, but you just got to take the appropriate steps to get to that point. I think, when it got to a point where I lost 2 in a row and I had a lot of, bad things happen to me, that's when, a lot of the questions started coming in my own mind and stuff like that. But then I was very thankful and grateful that I got close people behind me, people that love and care about me. Like especially my dad, like always telling me like, son, we're going to do this, we're going to come through and stuff like that. That's why actually when I won the Cage Warriors title, I gave the belt to him, because he was always telling me and always believing in me that we're going to go and do the business and we are going to reach the top. It's funny because it was such a contrast, because there was a point where no one believed in me anymore. Everyone thought I was just a hype train and that's it. See you later. Have a good one. And then, a couple of years down the line, and then next thing you know, we're in the UFC, where people really thought that was never going to happen. So yeah, man, it's been a long, long, crazy road. But I think it was always in my mind that I was going to get there. And especially because, like I said, there were those doubters. There were those people that told you that, that you can't do it or you won't do it. And it's just like, now I feel proud of myself to say, do you know what? I proved your ass wrong. Like,
Yeah, man.
the fact that they were telling me all these things, like, but obviously there was a lot of hard graft. I mean, that's one thing that, people don't necessarily see. They think, oh yeah, you just train twice a day and then you go and fight, 3-4 times a year. That sounds like an easy life. I'm like, you know what? You go and try it yourself and see what it's like. The emotional role. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. But yeah, it's been good. Like I say, I think I always knew that I was going to get there. But yeah, it was just a matter of time and knowing that and building the appropriate skill sets to get to that point. So when it got to the point where I knew I had the appropriate skill set, then I knew inevitably it was gonna come to me at that point.
Yeah, man. And I hope some of these people that you proved wrong haven't started crawling out of the woodwork now, trying to crawl up your ass. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure you've had a couple.
Trust me, there have been a few. I think you're always going to get that though, with anything, like anything where, people are telling you that you can't do something and then you go ahead and do it. There's always that. I think there's probably an air of guilt in their mind, thinking, "Oh, oops, I said something." So they try and come back into the limelight and just be like, "Oh yeah, I always believe in this guy." Try and cling on to the rise or to the success and stuff like that. But look, at the end of the day, I think it's mainly, like I said, the people that are close to you that are gonna always support you. But at the end of the day, I've sort of accepted that. I accept that there's going to be haters. I accept that there's going to be people that like you. It's all part of the journey, and you've got to be grateful and thankful for all of that, because that's what gives that extra push, the extra motivation to do more reps in the gym, to do more things in the cage as well. I think, even when you get in the cage, having that in the back of your mind will make you want to be more daring, do more crazy things, like, let out more dangerous techniques. I think when you get in there, when you're, especially, in the UFC, when you're fighting in front of the world stage, you got to show people what's up. Do you know what I mean? If you've got some deadly moves that you can do, you've got to showcase it and you've got to be confident in throwing it. So, yeah, man, like I said, I can't wait for all that.
Yeah, but and I said it's great that I know the support you've had in the past. I've met a lot of your trainers. Obviously your father being one of your trainers as well. That's right, and I saw some great, and I love the bond you have between each other as well. Because like you said, you gave him the belt at the end of when you won the Cage Warriors title, which was lovely to see. And I think I saw on your Instagram you both trying to lift up logs and stuff like that. Was I seeing that right? Your dad trying to lift some massive thing up.
Listen, me and him are absolute nutters. I mean, even in quarantine, it's, I have to admit, it's a good thing now. Like, obviously it's good that, we've got a gym at home and stuff like that, and we can train, and, pretty much life goes on as normal, and, we still drill stuff together and blah, blah, blah. But being in, sort of quarantine where you're having to stay at home and stuff like that, it's making me, spend more time with him and my stepmom and stuff like that. And it's actually a really good thing, because I think that just helps and improves but we already had a great bond anyways. But now it's just like, it just shows you that, it just shows me that maybe I do need to spend even more time. Because, listen, as an athlete, you're training real hard through the week. And then even on the Saturday, I train hard. And then it's like, okay, now the weekend, like, now that I've finished all my training and Sunday, I'm going to have off. Why not go and do some other things? Do you know what I mean? Why don't go see some of my friends or do something different? Because you need a bit of like a release mentally, physically, and whatnot. So you don't necessarily want to stay at home, or, you kind of want to get out of the house and stuff like that. So obviously I don't I spend time with my dad. Obviously we're in training and this and that, but like, it's now even more of a relaxed vibe. I get to hang out with him a bit more again. And it's like really nice, because again, that makes us then bond even more in training and stuff like that. So, and like we can get our ideas together a bit more. So, it's been a really good thing. And like I say, I've always had a good relationship with him. And because I think that's because we're actually quite similar in the way that we are. The jokes we sort of fly off of each other. We find similar things funny, which a lot of it is quite silly, but at the end of the day, it makes for a good time. So yeah, like I say, I'm happy we've got that together.
That's it, mate. It's so important. How obviously beneficial is it during this time? We're all stuck in lockdown at the moment. You know, how beneficial is it that you've got your training area and you've got one of your top coaches with you at the same time to fall through this? Because a lot of people are literally just shadow boxing. I've seen people tip their sofas up on one side and use that as a punch bag and all sorts of stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I think you've still got to adapt and overcome. Let's say I didn't have a gym or I didn't have like certain things, like you have to just find a way around it, you know, like get a dummy or like I've seen people get teddies and put like freaking, you know, like their jiu-jitsu gi on it and, you know, and stuff like that. Like, yeah, you have to work with what you got if you haven't got all of that. I think there's still ways to train. Like you can still improve. You can watch techniques or something like that, or even just like ask, like I don't know, like if you're with your sibling or even with your, I don't know, with your parents. Oh, let me just practice a move or whatever. Like, but yeah, obviously I'm extremely grateful, extremely thankful that I do have my own gym, and like I said, my coach is literally right next door. So and you know we've got like the grapple dummies and you know all the punch bags, and obviously my dad goes on the pads with me. We do all our strength and conditioning still, so you know I'm able to prepare like I am for a fight, and I can drill all my moves on him. Like unfortunately, you know, his back's not been great. Obviously, you know, as he gets older and this and that, and obviously having to try and do pads with me all the time, like me like smacking the pads because you know
Yeah.
shuddering, like arms flying out everywhere. I can imagine, obviously, it will probably cause a bit of bodily harm, maybe. But
I'm sure he doesn't care if it's going to help you.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. That is one crazy thing that I would say. Like I remember, like the most vividly is I don't know if it was before the Hamlet fight. No, I think it was before the Nasilia fight. So my defense in the last week, like literally the I'm at that point I'm getting a lot more fired up. I'm getting a lot more, you know, sharp. I'm getting a bit more aggressive. And then at that point, like my dad said, like that's where his back was the worst. And he's doing all these drills on me. Like I'm doing the wrestling drills, the jiu-jitsu stuff, and this whole time he says absolutely nothing, but he's literally in the biggest pain ever. I remember the week after the fight, he was telling me like, you know, we had to change up training a little bit because, like I said, his back was hurting, and it wasn't that great. So, for him to like put himself at risk just to help me be the best, I mean, that's a really touching. It's inspiring for me. So it's like, okay, well, when you feel shit or when you feel down or whatever, like don't give up. This guy, do you know what I mean? 50 something years old, he's coming out and putting his body on the line. So it's like that gives me no excuse to not do an extra rep or not do an extra punch. So yeah, I mean, man, at that age, it's still showing me up. But yeah, it's really good. Like I said, I can practice all my jiu-jitsu stuff, all my wrestling stuff. We do all the pads, all the strength and conditioning. So you know, like obviously, yeah, just really grateful, right? Really thankful, really grateful. I'm training as if I've got, as if I've got something coming up. So it's all good, man.
That's it, mate. You got to keep active in these times, mate. Otherwise, you end up walking around like a heavyweight, you know. But just if you don't mind me asking, then, if you don't mind, I would ask, what's your father's background in martial arts or fighting at all?
So so he started off doing like karate, Shotokan. He's actually got a black belt in that.
Wow, fair play.
That was like that. That's sort of his first sort of taste of martial arts, I guess you can say. And then from what I believe is from the Russian army, like because he had to go to Soviet army. Obviously, at that time, like we hadn't had our independence and stuff like that in Lithuania. So yeah, I mean, listen, he sort of developed his own art from all the things that he learned, he did sambo as well. So he learned like across a whole different load of different arts and stuff like that. So he had all the takedowns in there, all the submission, all the leg locks and this and that. And then he sort of just developed his own sort of style. Like he had a bit of a boxing style to go with the karate, with all the crazy kicks, with all the takedowns. So then that in itself became sort of MMA, and that's when he started competing. And he called it combat self-defense. And at the minute, I actually have a black belt in his art. One of few, I think. Nice. I think that so. So from that, then he started competing. He started winning. He was actually the no holds barred Soviet Union heavyweight champion. So, he's got an extensive background in sort of the early days of MMA. which obviously carries over extremely well for me. And it's like he gives like sort of unique sort of points that were brought back from the old days that everyone's always talking. Now, listen, I get it. You've got to evolve. You've got to step up your game. You've always got to try and learn something new. But it's funny, some of the old stuff then people now aren't doing that I'm still doing that. It's giving me an edge. So he gives me like little golden eggs, I guess you could say, that I can use in my game, which is amazing. So, and he's got that fighter's spirit, you know, as well. Like he's told me of all these different fights of beating guys that are bigger than him, stronger than him, guys who are supposed to kill him. You know, I think there was one time he's saying like against some Russian guy or something, like everyone was telling him before, like, oh, be careful, he's gonna kill you and stuff like that. And like, you know, like you're going into a fight, people are telling you this. It's like, oh yeah, thanks, mate, appreciate that. That's
Brilliant.
ramping up my confidence here. Do you know what I mean? But then he went and gone and knocked him out in the second round. So, you know, stories like that as well, it gives me an edge mentally, because I know like my dad's been through a hell of a lot of crap. So if he can do it, inevitably so can I. So yeah, it's good to have a guy with such an extensive background, extensive knowledge. Like he's been teaching me since I was 5. He taught me all the throws and all the sambo techniques, all this from a very young age. So that's why now when I drill new things or I learn new stuff, like it comes very naturally to me because I've done it from, you know, such a young age.
Not a bad background to have in sambo as well. And I'll tell you what, even with none of that, I don't think anyone wants to join a Soviet army. That's some tough. That's going to be tough anyway, mate. You know, so that's what probably toughened him up the most as well. And the reason I asked the question initially is because you're saying about how he pushes through his injuries himself just to get you to where you are. It just shows that he was a champion, and he just wants you to get to the best that you can get as well. And if that means he's got to lie flat for a week, then I think he'll quite happily do it. You know, you could wheel that guy cage side, man. He'd still be there, I'm sure.
Yeah. He would still be holding the pads cage side in a wheelchair as well.
Yeah, but so obviously, before we go about how it all came around with the UFC and stuff, like, how does it first of all feel that potentially you could be standing across the cage from someone like John Jones or someone like that? Does that ever run through your mind?
It always runs through my mind, me fighting the top and the best athletes in the world. You know, obviously I've got that chance to train with John Jones back when I was 22 and stuff like that, and that was an amazing experience. That was a humbling experience. He was a very, very nice guy to me. You know, he helped me a lot. Obviously I did a lot of rounds with him, I was helping him, but he helped me a hell of a lot. And
of course, because you were, sorry to interrupt, but you were preparing him, weren't you, for one of his fights, weren't you? Yeah.
Well, I was actually preparing for my it's funny, I was preparing for the fight, which I actually ended up losing. That was my first defeat. But yeah, so, you know, with that experience, that showed me, like, you know, at some point I'm going to be ready for the top of the top, the best of the best, the cream of the crop. Because like I say, I'm only in my early stages now, so I've still got time to develop, get better, work on my skill sets and stuff like that. So, I mean, listen, when you got your idol, for me, you know, he's my idol. You know, like, listen, everyone talks about, you know, I understand, yeah, he's had troubles outside the cage and stuff like that, but listen, he's the only one that's really in the spotlight. Like, listen, you don't know how many other people are getting you know, they're having their own problems or something. It's just because he's such a big star that he's getting the heat for everything. And, you know, obviously, yeah, you shouldn't be doing the things that you're doing, but at the same time, like, listen, no one's perfect. And at least he's now, like, you know, trying to find ways to sort of help himself. But anyways, the fact that he's like my idol, like, imagine your idol is standing across the cage from you. It's, you know, that famous saying, when your idols become rivals. Like, it'll be very interesting for me to see, you know, like, we did this in the training room, but now we're going to do this for real. Now we're going to do this when I've improved my skill set, I've improved myself. Maybe John Jones is would be a little bit older, but for me, that is honestly like the big dream. Like, at the end of all of this, like all this story, you know, me getting to the UFC after a long struggle, me training with him back in the day, like, how crazy would it be after all of that? It comes swinging right back round, and I'll go and actually fight him for real. Like, for me, that would be the most intense, crazy feeling ever. And obviously, I know we put on a hell of a show. and obviously you'd want to be the first guy to go and beat, the unbeaten fighter. So that's always been a big dream for me. Any sort of top level athlete that I've been watching or seen on TV, like I intend to go and compete against all of them and go and beat them. So, I mean, listen, you got to think like that. Otherwise, you ain't going to be the best. You ain't going to get into the UFC unless you think you're going to go and beat these guys anyways in the first place. So, yeah, man, it's like it's a crazy feeling. Like it will almost be like I don't know, like just like weird, like in your head, like just like you expected it, but then when it actually happens right in your face, you're like, wow, this is actually happening. I know a couple of other fighters have said the same thing.
Yeah, man, but don't you fully deserve it, man, and I can't wait to see you in there. Like in my mind, people said I was crazy, but I'd love to see you debut against someone like Johnny Walker, mate. Stylistically, I'd love to see that fight. You know what I mean? I don't care what anyone says. Stylistically, I've always looked at that guy and looked at you and thought, yeah, that looks right. That looks like a good
scrap.
fight, man. That'd be a bloody. Obviously, it would be with anyone you fight in there. But when I watched Johnny Walker's last fight, not because obviously he didn't win. I mean, just generally the way he throws and stuff. I've just loved to see you start against someone as high level as that. But again, you're happy to fight anyone. I'm sure you'll take on anyone you want. And I don't know if you're even allowed to tell us at all, because obviously UFC London was unfortunately cancelled, and I didn't see a name on it. I don't know if you were waiting for you to announce your fight for UFC London at all, but are you allowed to give us any insight to what's going on with that at the moment, or not? If not, don't worry.
All I can say is that I've signed a contract for a fight.
Okay.
But obviously with the whole Corona thing, who knows if it will go ahead. So that's all I'll say. Because obviously, if I reveal what the month is, then at the end of the day, you'll have a bit of an idea as where it is. But that's another reason why I have to stay in shape and why I have to train. Because there could be something potentially coming up. So, but yeah, man, like I say, I hope this virus clears, and not just because of the fight, but just in general. I hope the virus all clears up, because all the deaths and all the people like struggling and this and that financially, like it's just not a good vibe to be having around in the world. So obviously, I hope and pray that everything can sort of clear up and everyone can go back to normal. And start living good, happy, better lives, because obviously it's such a traumatic thing that's going on in the world right now.
Yeah, man, I completely agree, and it still annoys me when I do like once or twice a week walk down the shop quickly or something. Just seeing people sitting around having picnics in the park and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
My missus is tugging my arm saying, "Don't say nothing." I said, "Well, it's quite hard not to." To be honest, feel like take a picture and put it on a social. And I said, no, they'll just be like, "Oh, I'm famous. I need to go and tell this guy." I'm not trying to sound like the big man. I just want to say, look, mate, what are you doing? It's because of people like you that my UFC press pass got cancelled. Not that I'm being selfish.
That's the main reason why I'm upset here, all right? Because of that press pass, damn it. What's wrong with you guys? Messing up my opportunities.
Exactly, and now I've got to sit at home just getting 80% pay not to get up in the morning. It could be worse, to be fair. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean, mate? But it's killing me. There's no fights on any weekend. I think tonight it's Conor McGregor's 7-year anniversary, like from his debut. So BT Sports are putting all his fights on tonight on BT Sports. That'd be you soon, mate. Put all your fights on. That'd be a good one.
That's it, mate. That's what we're working towards, definitely. Do you know what? It's funny you say that, actually. When I look at Conor McGregor's sort of career and stuff like that, I see a lot of similarities, and it's almost like I just keep telling myself and keep believing that maybe I'll be going on a road very similar to that. He had 2 losses early in his career. He then went on a win streak. He then just blew up massively. Obviously, our personalities are probably quite different. I guess I'm a bit more wacky than brash, but yeah, like he had quite a meteoric rise. But there was a lot of things like like he was struggling a lot financially. He had someone had to help him to then get to the top and then do his thing. He's very close with the people that have been with him the whole time. Like I see a lot of similarities, and that really gives me confidence and like belief that that this is the sort of thing that's going to happen to me. So at the end of the day, all I got to do on my part, work work my ass off, go and do everything that is necessary and is required to try and be the best, put myself in difficult situations in training, try and do everything that I can, and then the rest will unfold for itself. At the end of the day, I feel like when I get into the cage now, that's where I'm really going to shine. I think, it took a while for me to really just start, feeling my way into the cage and like feeling sort of confident just to go and do everything that I know I can do. And now I feel like being on the biggest stage, I think that's going to throw that out of me even more. And like I say, I can't wait for that.
There must be a bit of weight on the shoulders as well, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you are the first Lithuanian UFC fighter, I think, ever. I'll have to double check that.
I think so. From what I know, I think I'm the first ever Lithuanian-born UFC fighter. So, like Rose Namajunas, I think she had a Lithuanian parent. So one of her parents is Lithuanian. So technically, she's Lithuanian, but she wasn't born there. She was born in America, but with Lithuanian heritage. So there was another one, Yulia Stodorenko. She's actually very good. She's actually just won the Invicta championship. So big shout out to her. She was actually on the Ultimate Fighter, but then because of one fight that she lost, she ended up not getting the UFC contract. So, but yeah, if you're talking about, I guess as of right now, the first Lithuanian-born UFC fighter. And to be honest, I don't feel like there's like weight on my shoulders or anything. I embrace that. Like, imagine you're down and like, it's funny. I had to do this. I think if you get some sort of stat like that, I checked on Google. I typed in first Lithuanian UFC fighter. Comes up with my name right at the front. I was
Quality.
Like, yes, I've made it.
That's it. You can retire now.
You know what I mean? That's it. I don't need to do no more. But so obviously, like, seeing that, like, I'm like, well, now that I've done that, now I want to be the first Lithuanian to win a UFC world title. I want to be the first Lithuanian to do big things and stuff like that, and really bring my country and my nation up with me. And look, at the end of the day as well, born in Lithuania, but I'm bred in Britain as well, so I can carry a little bit of that as well. Like, this is why I think it would be amazing for me to fight in London, because I'm going to be bringing out both the Lithuanian and the British flag with me whenever I go out to my fights. Because obviously you can tell by the accent, which is heavily British.
Oh yeah,
heavily London.
Yeah.
But listen, I've even taken steps like now, because it seems like I can understand Lithuanian quite well and I can read it all right. So my dad's been helping me, to try and speak it better and stuff like that, because obviously we are, as a kid, it was emphasized to me to try and learn as much, because I moved here when I was 3 years old. So my parents wanted me to do well in school, so they emphasized just learn English really well. And to be fair, that's paid dividends, because then in school and, then how I express myself is a lot better. So I am thankful for that. But now, and especially because I got a bit more time in quarantine, I've been trying to go back to my roots, try and learn a bit more Lithuanian stuff like that. Because again, you got to connect with your fan base, with the people that are following behind you. I'm hoping it could be a similar sort of vibe. Conor McGregor with Ireland, we're gonna have the same with me, but with Lithuania. So I'm very patriotic towards my country. I want it to be known. When I fly that flag with me, man, it's going to give me that extra pound, that extra energy. I know when I go and step out there on the cage.
Yeah, man, you've always brought that flag with you. You've always been asked the question in most post-fight press conferences as well. Things like that. But I think everyone can tell by the surname. It's a very English surname you've got. So obviously, so everyone's obviously, that's probably the first question. Like, what's the flag is? What's the nationality and stuff like that, mate? And it's nice. It's nice that you can represent your country. You're learning to speak the language as well, so you can also talk to them, and everyone there can understand you, opposed to having to read subtitles if they can't speak English. Things like that. So it'd be nice, mate. We'll have to get a translator for you, like the UFC. Stand next to you.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that. I can't wait. Like I said, the whole roller coaster is only just starting now, man. I can't wait for it all.
Must be that moment when you win your first fight. Well, sorry, your debut fight in the UFC. Get that right. And Joe Rogan comes walking in for an interview. Then you think, I've made it. Joe Rogan's coming in.
Joe Rogan wants to talk to me. Oh my god.
It's either gonna be
I'll
Rogan or Bisping, isn't it? So
yeah, that's it. I'll be giddy either way, man. I'll be like a little kid in a candy store. I'll just be like bright face, like cheesy smile, rosy red cheeks. Do you know what I mean? It'll be the same reaction like if a hot girl walks past, and I'll just be like, oh, I've got the same reaction. I'm like starstruck. Do you know what I mean?
but
Nah.
we all know you're not shy. Do you know what I mean?
Oh well.
And I'm gonna bring it up anyway, mate, because I know we have spoken about it in the past, but not on this show. So tell everyone a little bit about where, between winning titles and fighting cage fighting, you decide to go on a TV show, Take Me Out,
Oh
with
yeah.
about 20, 30 women in front of you, all deciding whether or not they want to take you out on a date. That's what I love about you, man. That's what I love about you. So go on, how did that come around, man?
Do you know what? It's mad because it was just completely out of the blue. Like I was just sitting there one day, like in between training sessions, I'm sort of tired, like I'm just a bit lethargic. I'm like, all right, I've got another training session later, and the next thing you know, I get like a friend request on Facebook from someone that said Lucy Caster, and I'm like, oh, okay, another girl added me on Facebook. Like, yes, we're definitely gonna add that one. And
He's there.
Exactly, like thinking nothing of it. I thought, oh yeah, Caster, that's like a normal English name. Like, cool, I'll take that. And then and then next thing you know, I scroll down and you see on like you see it says, "Oh, take me out application," and again, like not thinking it, like no, I didn't even like grasp the fact that I've just added this person. It says application for take me out. I didn't think nothing of it. I thought, oh yeah, sure, why not? It's like they completely like reeled me in, like the gullible guy that I am. And the next thing you know, I filed in my my application or whatever, and about 5 minutes later, I got a call off an unknown caller. Again, thinking nothing of that, but obviously I don't really want to pick up an unknown caller. The amount of prank calls I got, mate, I'm just like, I'm sick and tired of this crap. And then or like these like these calls that you get, like these sales calls and all that crap. So I didn't answer it. But then I got another message on the private messenger thing on Facebook. Oh, hi, this is a thing from Take Me Out. I wonder if you could take a call just to go over the application. I was like, oh, so that call was from, okay, that all makes sense. Now the dots are aligning. And then, we had like a phone conversation for about, I'd say about an hour and a half or whatever, just me blabbing on, chatting total bollocks, to be honest. I obviously, like, look, at the end of the day, you sort of want to, create a bit of entertainment. So I over-exaggerated slightly on some of my answers. But anyways,
give us a quick example.
Like, I was talking about, like, I had a horrendous eating disorder. Like, like I can't go 2 seconds down the Cross Street bakery aisle without shoving at least 5 or 6 cakes into my basket. Like, like it's really bad. Like, I go to the point of throwing up and then I'll eat again. Like, I said some horrendous stuff, mate. Like, honestly, like it made me sound like an absolute mong. But anyways, they invited me. Yeah, exactly. Straight away, they invited me for the formal sort of audition. Went to the studio, and it's funny. I actually sat there and chatted to some dude who literally lives about 15 minutes from where I do. I'm like, what are the chances, eh? And and then I met like another dude or whatever, and then they took me into the audition room. And then there's like a massive camera there, like a bunch of girls. And then they're all just like basically asking me questions in front of this camera again with my over exaggerating tone. And we're just like, going again for about 45 minutes or whatever. And then they go, okay, now we're going to act out the show as if it's going to be like on real life. They put like pictures of girls up on the wall. And then they said, okay, so what's your walkout song? What's your killer question? I'm like, bloody hell, you put me on the spot, aren't you? Like, you didn't let me prepare. I didn't have no homework or nothing. Like, I just have to boom, go straight into it. Obviously, I can tell they probably sort of wanted to see, like, okay, would you be able to do it sort of on the spot and blah, blah, blah. Like, because obviously I can imagine if they don't like a question, they need to change it. You have to think of something real quick. So, okay, fair play. The song that I came down, well, I said it that for the audition, that, you need a freak like me to make love to your body. You know that song? Yeah. So anyways, that was the song that I taught. So they're basically playing this. And I think it's just so funny because there's like these girls sitting here, there's this massive camera, and I'm like shaking my ass in front of these pictures on the wall, and they're just laughing their asses off. I'm like, well, this is going great, isn't it? And then yeah, they obviously, you know, they gave a couple of questions, so like that you know, like disses that the girls would say, and then I have to say a question back to see if I can answer straight away on the spot, or like if I'm like a little bit shy or whatever, which as you can probably tell, I'm not. And
Sure.
then yeah, and then yeah, it's pretty much shortly after that, got on the show, done the whole thing, went to Fernando's, which is Tenerife pretty much, and yeah, I got bagged myself a date, you know what I mean, as one does. It was a
Got to
crazy
pick
dance.
between about 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think I got. It's funny. I came down the love lift, yeah, and then bloody, I'm using all the terminology now. Love lift. But anyway, and I was the last guy to go out as well.
I know. I was sitting there waiting all fucking night to watch it, and I was like, "When's he gonna come on?"
Do you know what? And some of my mates were like, "Are you even on the show? You lying to us?" I'm like, "Just bloody wait. There's one more guy coming out. Come on now, don't be impatient on me." And then yeah, like, and it's funny because you're in this like pretty much prison cell type room for like the whole day, like basically just like amping yourself up, and like I was getting like really nervous because they're like, oh, what if the girl say this? Whoa, I've got to have something put in my head, otherwise I'm not going to be able to answer back, and I'm going to look like an absolute idiot. So like, do you know what I mean? Like everything, like you're sort of thinking about all the things that are going that you're going to say back to them and blah blah blah, and you have all the guys there, you're all getting like prepped up, you're getting all your makeup on and getting all the mics and stuff like that, and then all the producers there, and we're all like pumping these guys up, oh yeah, let's go, you're going to smash it. And then so imagine all the guys have gone and I'm the last dude there, no one in the room, dead quiet, you can hear crickets in that room. So literally I'm just standing there like, okay, Modestas, yeah, let's go. You've got this, mate. So I'm sitting there trying to pump myself up, and then I see the producers coming to, and I'm like literally walking up the down. I'm thinking, oh, yeah, I'm gonna smash it. Come on, like I'm literally getting myself ready as if I'm going out for a fight. Like I was literally like jumping up and down, like shadow boxing. I'm shadow boxing in a bloody room, waiting to go out to do a freaking dating show. And then yeah, they put the mic on and all that. And then they you know they brush up a little bit of makeup and they say, all right, you ready? And you're walking all the way around the back and everything. And then the most nerve wracking. Yeah, they put. Yeah, come on, mate. I mean, listen, not everyone's perfect, all right. Listen, I was looking like a 7 before they got that makeup on me, and then boom, went straight to a good 9.2. But anyways, so listen, you got to make the best of what you got, right? But yeah, when I got to like the top of the just where the love lift was, and they're like there's the two producers there, and they're basically, all right, and just give it another 5 minutes, and then when Paddy says it, and it's gonna go, the lift's gonna go down, and you're gonna get ready to go. I'm like, oh my lord, don't tell me that. Like I was literally like shaking. I was wearing these tight ass jeans. Like I'm telling you, like. And the things, I got a whole new wardrobe right before I went to the show. I've never, like, it's been ages since I got a new wardrobe. I only got it specifically for this show. Luckily now, obviously, I can use it when I go out and stuff like that. But wearing these tight ass jeans, it's like sort of loose dangling shirt and stuff like that. And I'm just like standing there, like, again, like just shaking, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And then as soon as I start hearing, like, Paddy goes, oh, we saved the best to last, single man, reveal yourself. And then the lift slowly starts coming down. I'm like, do you know what? Let's just get it popping. I just start busting a move, like, as this little lift's coming down. And then the whole time I was just looking at the floor. I'm like, oh my lord, this is actually happening. And then, yeah, but then afterwards I've got, like, you know, as soon as the show just keeps going on, then you're absolutely fine. But the initial part was like literally the most nerve-wracking thing I've done in my life. Even more nerve-wracking than going out to the cage, without a doubt.
Which how many millions of people probably watched that show? Do you know how many millions of people saw you come down that love lift and dance in front of all those people? And in front, mate, that's amazing. I said that should be your walkout, mate. That should be your walkout at UFC. Just come out and dance. Get a love lift or come up like in WWE.
I think it's funny. You're one of the first people you posted on Facebook. And ladies and gentlemen, this is your Cage Warriors like heavyweight champion. I'm like, great.
I couldn't help myself. I was watching. I was like, right, record.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
The thing is that you proper went for it as well, which are fair play to you, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure walking into a cage, it was like a piece of piss after having to come and dance in front of all those birds.
Oh, trust me, mate. Trust me, mate. Like, it's funny how you find that stuff. But I think as well, it sort of stems from like I've always had a bit of issues with like, yeah, like I don't know, like I've always been a bit of like a crazy kid, but then sometimes like I'll really shy away like in front of all the popular kids and stuff. And I was never the popular guy. I'd always want to be in front of them big crowds or whatever, or I'll just want to get noticed. So, I think like I've had a lot of experiences which showed me just not to care and just be yourself and don't care what other people think. There's a lot like I can think of so many times, like especially in America, that was the real big hit. That was the first time I ever even like properly like started to even know how to talk to girls and stuff like that. And I think I broke a lot of barriers. And then going on the show and actually doing that in front of all those girls and acting just like myself or whatever, that even made me break even more barriers. I think, in life, you always want to sort of strive to improve yourself, like no matter what it is, like you're learning a language, you're working on self-esteem or stuff like, because when people say, oh yeah, but I'm just naturally a shy person, this and that, but I'm like, but if you really wanted to, you could work to try and get, because I was never that guy who's like outspoken or this or that. On interviews, I want to be like, I want to be make sure I'm proper and like, not say anything crazy. But now I'm like, at the end of the day, you just got to shout who you are, and I think people value that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, mate, and that's probably another reason why people like Take Me Out, they came to you at the end of the day. You didn't apply to them. They asked you to apply on the show, and UFC invited you to the UFC. I don't get me wrong. I know you called out you wanted to be there many times, but again, they picked you out of a bunch. Like I think there was 2 champions from Cage Warriors taken recently, because obviously Jai Herbert was supposed to be fighting on the UFC London card,
Yeah.
and he recently won a title there, and obviously you've won your title and defended it at Cage Warriors. You're there as well. Do you think it's quite important that Cage Warriors do have that ties with UFC Fight Pass? And I see Graham Boylan and Dana White do get on. Well, I've seen pitch them together. I'm not saying that's what's helped you get there, because your performances have, but do you think it was quite important that that relationship Cage Warriors has of UFC, has helped you and a lot of fighters? Because look how many fighters have come from Cage Warriors, mate. McGregor, Joanna, Bisping. Do you know what I mean? There's been
I think that's probably one of the main reasons, actually. If you think about like you said, like all the big names, Michael Bisping, Conor McGregor, Joanna Young Jacek, they all know that if you want the top level fighters, you go to Cage Warriors. Like that's why, like when they're thinking of who are the best fighters in Europe, that's the first place that they go to. So it just creates an amazing platform for fighters to go and show their skill. The skill level is going to be very high, and that's the best way to showcase. I mean, no disrespect to any of the other promotions around, but if you look at it, if UFC is gonna try and pick anyone out of Europe, they always go to Cage because they know, like I said, they know that's where the top fighters in Europe inevitably go. So that's initially just that stepping stone. And Graham Boylan does a good job on the show of making it feel like a UFC event, like doing all the press stuff, like all the interviews and doing like the media stuff beforehand when they show the video before the fight, and even like getting your hands professionally wrapped by someone else and stuff like that, having like even the referees coming into the room beforehand and this and that, like everything is done like like clockwork, so it gets you the best prepared for the UFC as well. So the fact that he's doing all these things that like very similar to that, like they you have all the commentators talking about the fighters and this and that and really getting to know people, so it gives the best exposure out of any other show, that and so I was very obviously grateful that I got signed with them, all that while back. So and now it's just help project me in towards the UFC. So yeah, and it's good because like you said on UFC Fight Pass, my manager actually told me, from the beginning that they were already watching. Like, like Mick Maynard, who's the UFC, one of the UFC matchmakers, he reposted my finish from the night. So Night of Champions was such a big event, like so much talked about, like on MMA fighting, like all these other big presses and stuff like that. So he actually reposted my finish on his personal page. So already from that point onwards, I knew like they're watching, and now like I win another fight, and And I have to admit, another great job. The reason why I got to UFC was because of my management. They're an amazing management. They've been following my career ever since I was ever since I was 4-0. When I was actually training in America, I got to speak to the guy, and then they've been following the career the whole way through, and they've been seeing the way I talk and the way I do things, and blah blah blah, and inevitably seeing how I act on dating shows. And then next thing you know, they call me actually, or the main guy, Jason. He actually messaged me a week before the fight and said, "Listen, I know you got a big fight coming up. Go and smash it, and then give me a call afterwards." And then, yeah, as soon as I called him, I had a couple of other management teams come up to me, but obviously me and my parents felt that was the best fit. And he's been amazing. He's got such a good relationship with the matchmaker that that's another big important reason as to why they got the contract, because at the minute they're not trying to sign guys just outright. Like, if you look at all the guys that got signed outright last year, there's about 5. Most of them got signed from Contender Series. That was why. That was I was actually, that was what I had like talks with my managers. Like, I'm thinking we're probably gonna have to go to Contender Series, which I was absolutely fine. I mean, listen, I get to fight in Las Vegas in front of Dana White. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't mind having another fight to go and do that. But then, when I got that call. And it's because, again, he had such a good relationship with the matchmaker. They talk, they say their piece, and then the guy goes, "Nah, I like this kid. Let's go and sign him." So, as much as obviously an amazing platform, having Cage Warriors, give me the opportunities. Like, listen, they said, "You want to go fight for a title? Okay, we're giving you the opportunity. You go and win that. You'll go to the top. If you don't, then at the end of the day, the fate rests in your hands. If you want something, go and get it." So I wanted that belt. I went and go and got it. They said, okay. And then there was no chance of me getting on the Copenhagen card because no one pulled out. So they were like, okay. My management said, let's go and defend your belt again. Then boom. So everything was done strategically perfectly to get me to the top. So like I say, I couldn't, I've had, I can't be more blessed or grateful that I've had all these opportunities. And like I say, I'm just going to keep using it full swing and making the most of it, and see where the road takes me.
That's it, man. And no disrespect whatsoever to the light heavyweight division at the moment in the UFC, but it definitely needs more, let's say, some more people like yourself in there. It needs spicing up a bit. John Jones is running out of people to fight, and it'd be great to see some new talent, like I say new, but new talent to the UFC come through. And mate, it's just going to be, the world is your oyster, mate. You put a lot of hard work in. We see on your Instagrams and all your training videos, you're always training, you're always working hard. And as I said, mate, there's no reason why you shouldn't be going to the top, man. And what a journey it's been, mate, as well, man. From all the way from fighting UFC MMA, Fight Star, Cage Warriors, going on dating shows, winning titles, defending titles, and then getting signed by the UFC, all within a 5-year period, man. What a 5 years it's been, mate. You can only think, fuck me, I'm quite proud of myself. You've got to be.
Yeah, if anything, I wish, almost wish. Listen, you always wish certain things didn't happen. Like, I wish I didn't injure my leg, because before I'd injured my leg, like after those 2 losses, I was like literally in the best shape of my life. Like, I was ready to go, and like, when that happened, that was another big setback. In a way, you sort of think, like, there's a lot of very young guys. Like, you see like heavyweights who are 24 or 23, and you're like, I've had those setbacks, which have taken pretty much like 2 years or a year and a half out of my career and out of my sporting life. You don't do this so long, and like already thinking, bloody hell, 26, like, you know what I mean? Like, time's going on. So obviously, you get sort of those little thoughts that creep into your head, but at the same time, I look back and I think I'm actually very, as I say, very thankful and grateful for those experiences, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be getting to the point where I am now. I wouldn't be mentally headstrong. I wouldn't have improved the areas that needed fixing. So everything, God has blessed me with what I needed to get to this point. And like I said, everyone's journey is different. Someone can go and smash it all the way through 10-0 and fair play to them. That's their particular journey. That's how they're going through with it. But mine is my journey, and everyone else is exactly the same. They've got their own journey. So I'm thankful for the experiences, because at the end of the day, it just makes me a better fighter. And then it just makes me more ready to go out in the UFC and actually do the business instead of going to the UFC and then get, thrown straight back out.
Yes, because I said, good to have those experiences. Like you see people like, I'll say John Jones as an example. I'm sure he'd be fine, but he's undefeated. What happens if he gets knocked out brutally one day? Like he's never experienced that before. I'm not saying you have. I'm just saying he has, or just get defeated, or quite like dominated in a fight or anything like that. They haven't prepared for that sort of thing. He'll probably retire anyway. But you know what I mean. This is it. You've had those experiences, and at least when you get in there, mentally, you're there because you've been through it all already. So that's it, mate. So now you're obviously Mr. Big Time, the big man. Royalty now, let's say, Mr. UFC. Surely you've got to come up with a nickname for you now.
Oh my Lord. Do you know what? Like,
I've got a couple.
It's funny because there's all these. Oh, I guess you need to give them to me because honestly, like, I'm thinking to myself, like, there's always a story behind these people's nicknames, and I'm like, there's genuinely no story behind any nickname that anyone's like, given to me. Like,
not much rhymes with your surname. That's the problem.
Well, this is it. Like, yeah, it doesn't have like a catchy tone to it or anything like that. So, I'm trying to think. But the thing is, it's worse. I think it's worse when you have to like really try and think of something. Like I say, it sort of almost has to come naturally, or like a couple of people say it, and then it's like, okay, well that one clicks. But who knows? Like there might be something that I like, and I'll just go with it and then just run with it. And I think that would be the story behind mine. It's like, oh yeah, that sounds all right. Yeah, I sound pretty mean with that one, so we'll go with that. But go on, give me some examples of what you got.
I want wacky, man. So I was thinking, Modestas, the bestest. I thought that'd be quite good. Modestas, the bestest.
I think we need to stop there, man.
Modestas, take me out. Berserkers.
Right. Well.
See, it's hard, isn't it? Well, look, fuck it. We'll just go with Modestas the Pitbull. Everyone else is a Pitbull. Fuck it. We'll just stick with that.
Yeah, go on, just stick that one in there. All the rest are taken anyway, so we might as well go one that's really similar to everyone else's. Oh my Lord. Yeah, well.
One will happen eventually, mate. Don't worry. But if not, who cares, man? You're going to go in there and do the talking with your hands and feet.
Well, yeah, as I can see, you've got a long list waiting there just ready for me. It's like, oh, Modestas, if that one doesn't work, I've got another one for you. There'll be light bulbs peeled all over your head, mate.
If I think of any more, and anyone who's listening to this as well, because it gets shared around quite a bit, please put a comment or PM me a potential nickname for Modestas, because keep it clean as well, because obviously they've got to put it on the UFC banner. Do you know what I mean? So we kind of really need too mental, but mate, but at the end of the day, I think you carry yourself well. First of all, you've got quite a unique name anyway. Do you know what I mean? Which just makes you stand out. It makes you stand out. You're not John Smith walking in there, And you've got your Lithuanian flag with the UK flag, man. I think that's all you need, to be honest with you. All you need now is a UFC strap, and then you're laughing.
Yeah, that's it, mate.
Anyway, man, I'm going to let you get back to your utmost training, because I saw yesterday you're out. It was a lovely day for it yesterday. I see you're out running. Not so good today, but it's typical, mate. The weather turns nice, and guess what? We're all locked down. Brilliant.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, I was actually thinking I've got like a little thing on my roof, and like yesterday, I got to go out there, cheeky little 15-20 minutes, get that nice little base tan going, then go out on the run. I thought, okay, let's build up on that tan today. Get another 15 minutes on down. Whoop, we're gonna get a nice little shade darker, and the next thing you know, all the clouds are up in the sky, and I'm like, well, damn it, my tanning dreams are over. Then I'm gonna have to hit the beds at some point.
That's right, mate. You're a star now, mate. They'll let you in for free. It's all good, man. Don't worry. I'll tell you what, man, before I let you go, as always, man, give everyone a shout out, or anyone who's helped you get to where you are today, and of course any sponsors. And also I want just let people know where they can follow, because obviously you are very active on social media. So yeah, give us a shout out.
Right. So I'll quickly just go through social media. MODYB24. Instagram I use the most, so that's my Instagram one. Facebook, Modestas Bukauskas. I actually do have a YouTube channel. If you lot have not check it out, because I do have a video day in the life of quarantine. So if you're bored and short of entertainment, then give it a little watch, give it a little like, because me and my dad, we tend to do some really, wacky things, say some wacky things. And yeah, so check that out. If Twitter is MODESTASBUKAUS1. And yeah, I got give a big thanks to Mauler MMA. That man's been helping me all the time. I'm actually wearing it right now. Cheeky little plug. Don't know if you can see
there
that.
we are. Yeah, see that there. Yeah, lovely.
But anyways, really, really good quality stuff. It's an upcoming brand, and obviously it's very difficult with upcoming brands, especially in the sport industry, just because you've got all these other ones out there. But it really is comfortable and really good, and I really appreciate everything that he's helped me with. I'm just going to quickly actually run to my Instagram. I've got to give a massive thanks to.
We've lost you, by the way. The camera's come off now.
Oh, can you see me? All right.
Yeah,
I've got to give a massive thank you to Fight Shop UK. That man he's Lithuanian as well. He's been helping me since day one. And I really appreciate him giving me all like top quality equipment, man. Like honestly, all my boxing glove, my shin pads, they've not worn down with the quality. So I'm really, really thankful for that. Always helping me out. Literally ask me all the time, like, do you want any equipment or stuff like that? So I've got to thank him. I've got to give a big shout out to my physio, distinct physio, Leanne. She listened to help me come back from dislocating my knee 3 weeks before an important title defense. I don't think I really need to say anything else. She is an absolute wizard. I think witch sounds a bit bad, so we'll say wizard. But anyways, like she's always been there. Like I say, she called me. I called her at 12 o'clock that night when I injured it, and she was there and said, "Okay, appointment next door. Come see me." Like, helping me out so much. So I've got to give a massive shout out to her. There's been a lot of people that have helped me financially, and I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you. Like I say, I wouldn't be able to chase my dream and do what I'm doing if it wasn't for you lot. So I've got to give a massive thank you to everyone that's been around me and helping me. You lot know who you are, but from the bottom of my heart, I've got to give a massive thanks to you lot. I've got to give a massive thanks to Danny Batten, one of my main coaches at BST Academy, Raymond Paul also, Denison Sutherland, another big man in my corner, really helping me out. Obviously, I think it goes without saying, my dad, like I say, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be as good as I am now. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't even be in the position of coming back. So I got to give him a massive, massive shout out. Like I said, goes out without saying. Mill Hill BJJ, Ed Ingemels has been helping me massively with the jiu-jitsu. Also, Hodger Gracie's Academy. Legion Wrestling, giving me massive, massive help with my wrestling. So again, big shout out to them. There's, like I say, there's been a solid team of people that have just been there for me all the time. And there'll be, honestly, like I said, there'll be too many to name, but it's because of all these people that I'm going towards the top, and that I'm able to keep getting better, stay healthy, work on my skill sets. So to all of you, I got to give a massive, massive thank you, Iridium Sports Agency, everyone involved in the agency. You guys have done a phenomenal job, giving me the right supplements, which are all USADA approved, which is really good.
That's it.
As I'm just getting tested, obviously Jason, my man, like I say, everyone underneath the management, that was literally the best move I've done in my career. I'm extremely grateful and thankful. Sorry if I've left anyone out. Like I say, there's always a long list of people, but everyone's amazing. I love you all. I love all the support, friends, family. Like I say, we are all gonna. One thing I've got to say is that we're all going to rise together. This is not just a singular journey. We're all a team. We're all coming up together. When I come up, you lot are all going to come up with me. When I'll be driving in the Bentley, you lot be driving in the Bentley. We be going out on the yachts, and we be go out partying when it's all said and done. But we're all going through it all together. This is a team effort, and we are all going to make it.
I'll wait for my invite to the boat party, man. Can't wait.
Trust me, my brother. I'll be inviting you as the top press man. And next thing you know, instead of recording like actual specific content, he'd just be going around with the bikini babes, like trying to get in. He's like, yeah, let me use some of these chat lines that Modestas used. If it works for him, it's got to work for me. I'm in the UFC.
I do UFC, bro. Yeah. Mate, and as always, man, I appreciate you always give up your time to speak to me. We spoke, I think it was like the 4th or 5th time we spoke, if not in person on podcasts or anything like that. So I appreciate you coming on my personal show, which I've started recently. It was a must for me, really, mate. We've always had a good chat, a good laugh, and as always, mate, I can't wait to chat to you going forward and look where we are about a year later after we first spoke, and let's see where we're going to be in the following year, right?
Definitely. I can't wait for all that, man. Thank you so much again for having me. I really appreciate that. It's like you said, it's always amazing talking and chatting. We always have a good time, and yeah, definitely looking forward to doing more in the future.
No worries, man. Anyway, catch up with you soon, mate. Have a good train. I'm sure you're going to do something, and we'll keep in touch for sure.
Definitely. Sounds good, my man. Thank you so much. Really, really, really good.
You too, man. Stay safe out there, yeah? See you later,
yeah,
mate.
Stay safe.